Hello, everybody. How you doing today? In today's class, we are going to talk about the Olympic Games. So our goal today is to discuss a little bit historically what the Olympic Games mean. How it was created, and how did we get to the point that we are today. So, in our class, we're going to have a little conversation about the Olympic Games. So, let's get started with the article. Just so you know, all of these articles are created by me. So, all of our material is produced internally. So, we produce the articles, and we try to make sure that the articles are accurate and up to date, so to speak. So let's get started. The Olympic Games, a glorious tradition of athletic excellence. The Olympic Games, widely regarded as the pinnacle of athletic competition, have a rich history dating back thousands of years. Originating in ancient Greece, the Games were held every 4 years in Olympia in honor of Zeus, the king of gods. The first Olympic Games held in ancient Greece were believed to have taken place in 776 BCE. These ancient games included a variety of sports from running and wrestling to chariot racing and discus throwing. Okay, so guys, this is the first paragraph of our discussion, right? So there are lots of words in here that we can talk about, but I've chosen a few to point out, right? So, regarded. Regarded means considered. So, the Olympic Games are widely considered as the pinnacle of athletic competition. The word pinnacle means the top, right? The top of something, the top of an area, the top of a moment, right? The pinnacle is the highest you can get. So that's basically what the word pinnacle means. So the Olympic Games are, in fact, the pinnacle of athletic competition. They have a long history that goes back thousands of years, originating in ancient Greece. The pronunciation of this word here is ancient. Ancient. I see a lot of people pronouncing ancient. Ancient. That's wrong. The correct pronunciation is ancient, right? So, what that word means is that it means something is historically old. That's what it means. Historically old. It means that it's very old and it has a historical value. It's different from the word old, right? Because when you say, for example, this is an old house, it means that the house is very old. There's, maybe it's fallen apart, maybe the maintenance isn't very good. When you say this is an ancient house, it means there is a certain historical value, right? So that's sort of the definition between old and ancient. Ancient has historical value, right? So the games were held every 4 years in Olympia in honor of Zeus, right? Zeus was the king of gods in the Greek mythology. The first Olympic Games were believed to have taken place 776 BCE. Now, this is a very interesting thing, right? 776 before Christ, right? Now, what is the meaning of BCE? Basically, BCE means before Common Era, before Common Era, which basically means before Christ, right? So I think the terminology was sort of created, this terminology before Common Era was created because probably people didn't feel comfortable about using the word Christ, especially probably non-religious people. So then they created a terminology which is BC, means before Common Era, and Common Era, which is now, for example. So now it's 2024 Common Era, right? So that's the reason why they have these. So these ancient games include a variety of sports. So 776 years ago, a variety of sports like running, for example, marathon, right? The marathon was invented in Greece, the competition of the marathon. Wrestling, which is basically that fight where people like grab each other on the ground and try to take each other down, and chariot racing, right? Let me show you here what a chariot is. I think I have a photograph here of a chariot. Look at this. I guess you guys can see it. So this is a chariot. Look at that. So basically, they used to have this sport in the ancient Greece. So it was a horse-drawn chariot that would just run around this place, the stadium or whatever. So this is a sport that people practiced back in the days. Okay, so here we have the Olympic symbol, the Olympic rings. And what it means is the continents, right? It means the connection, the unity of the five populated continents that we have in the world. So Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia and New Zealand, that part, and the Americas, right? So it is all coming together as this symbol of unity. That's what the rings, the Olympic rings, represent. Now let's go back to the next paragraph. Over time, the Olympic Games evolved and eventually faded into obscurity with the decline of the ancient Greek civilization. However, their spirit was revived in the late 19th century when Pierre de Coubertin, a French educator, spearheaded the effort to revive the ancient tradition. The inaugural modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece in 1896, marking the beginning of a new era in global sportsmanship and unity. Look at this. This is very interesting, right? So we saw in the previous paragraph that the Olympic Games started 700 years before Christ. For some reason, whatever reason, they say here that because the empire, the Greek empire, faded into obscurity with the fall, the decline of the Greek civilization. So the games stopped happening, right? We didn't have the games for a long, long time. I suppose over 1,000 years we didn't have the games. Then in the 19th century, this French gentleman called Pierre de Coubertin, who was an educator, he spearheaded the effort to revive the ancient tradition. What is that, spearheaded? Spearheaded is basically to lead, to take the lead, right? So when somebody takes a lead of an initiative, you can say that that person is spearheading a project, is spearheading an initiative, right? So that's basically what that means. And in an effort to revive the tradition, the modern Olympic Games, modern version of the Olympic Games, happened in 1896 in Greece. So that was the first of what we call today the modern Olympic Games. Because remember, the ancient games happened 700 years before Christ. And the modern games happened in 1896 after Christ. And that happened in Athens, Greece. Let's go to the next paragraph. Since then, the Olympic Games have grown exponentially in scale and significance, becoming the largest international multi-sport event in the world. Athletes from every corner of the globe gather to compete in a wide range of sports, including track and field, swimming, gymnastics, and many others. The games serve as a celebration of human achievement, unity, and camaraderie, transcending political, cultural, and geographical boundaries. And probably it's a very interesting paragraph, right? So, since the beginning of the modern Olympic Games, the games have evolved into something super different from what we had in the past, right? So, in the past, in the ancient games, probably only people from Greece participated. Only people in the in the vicinity, in the neighboring areas participated. Now, when we go to the modern games, then we started opening up to the world, and then people from every part of the world started participating. So today we have, I don't know, 150 countries represented in the Olympic Games, probably even more. But they're like everybody's represented in the Olympic Games. What do you think about the Olympic Games? Do you enjoy? Is it something like every 4 years there's this sort of like commotion, right? People start watching sports they had never watched before. So I like the Olympic Games. Let's go to the next paragraph here. So throughout history, the Olympic Games have produced countless legendary athletes who have captivated audiences with their extraordinary talent, dedication, and sportsmanship. From Jesse Owens and Usain Bolt to Michael Phelps and Simone Biles, these iconic athletes have left an indelible mark on Olympic history, inspiring generations to pursue excellence in athletics. Now, that's true, right? I mean, when you look at the history of the Olympic Games, we have had truly, absolutely legendary participations, right? Um, I remember Nadia Comaneci, the gymnast, right? I think she was from Romania, if I'm not mistaken. Nadia Comaneci, she was crazy, like absolutely marvelous participation. Uh, Jesse Owens, in particular, is a very interesting one. I don't know if you guys heard about Jesse Owens. Let me show you this, right? I'm going to Google this just so I can speak clearly. Look at this. This is very cool. So Jesse Owens was an American sprinter, right? Track and field American athlete who won the gold medal in the Olympic Games in Berlin, Germany, Nazi Germany. And he won the gold medal. And look at him, he's black, right? So this was like an incredible achievement, right? Can you imagine Hitler's face when, a black man wins the gold medal in the Olympic Games in Germany, right? That was truly exceptional. And it's one of the most remarkable moments in the history of sport. Now, going back here, we have Usain Bolt. Everybody knows Usain Bolt, right? And what are the odds, right? This is something interesting. I don't know if you guys know the word boat. You know that symbol that people usually use for lightning. You know, when you have lightning, you usually have that symbol. Let me show you what it is. Let me show you what it looks like. Here you go. Let me show you. Wait a second. Okay, I'm Googling it. Look at this. Look at this. So this is what we call a lightning bolt. Look at that. This is a lightning bolt, right? So it symbolizes, in a way, in many cultures, it symbolizes speed, right? It is a symbol of speed. The Flash, right? The Flash. When you look at the Flash, he has a lightning bolt in front of his chest. Now, what are the odds that years later you have a gentleman called Usain Bolt? That's his real name. It's not a nickname. And he's the fastest man alive. Absolutely amazing, isn't it? Well, Michael Phelps is probably the greatest athlete to have ever lived, right? Greatest athlete to have ever lived. Michael Phelps has won 23 gold medals, not 23 medals, 23 gold medals in different categories of swimming, right? This is far more than anybody else has ever done in history. So I believe that Michael Phelps will never be beaten. This record will never be beaten because 23 gold medals is just beyond imagination. And I think everybody remembers Simone Biles. Simone Biles is a gymnast, American gymnast, who's very, very famous as well. So this is the a photograph of the gold medal in the Sydney Games in the year 2000. Let's continue to go back here. The last paragraph. Looking to the future, the Olympic Games continue to evolve, embracing new technologies, sports, and cultural trends. Host cities invest billions of dollars in state-of-the-art venues and infrastructure to welcome athletes and spectators from around the world. Despite challenges such as logistical complexities, financial concerns, and occasional controversies, the Olympic Games remain a symbol of hope, unity, and the pursuit of excellence. Any problem? I hope not. So this is a very nice paragraph, right? Host cities invest billions of dollars in state-of-the-art venues. State-of-the-art means something very, very technologically advanced, right? Technologically advanced. That's state-of-the-art, right? And venue means location. The venue means location. Like if you're getting married, for example, right? You're going to get married and you're going to have a party, right? Usually that's what people do. They get married and they have a big party celebration. And usually what happens is people will say, where's the venue? Where's the venue? It means where's the ceremony going to happen? What is the place where the ceremony is going to happen? So the venue is the location, the place where it will happen. Now, there's a lot of criticism, guys, about host cities, right? Because they do invest billions of dollars, right? And there's like, okay, we have the games, but often after the games are over, at the end of the Olympics, these locations are kind of like, okay, what do we do with that now, right? What do we do with these locations now? So a lot of countries don't have a good planning about what they're going to do after the games have ended. And then what do we do now? Now we have a swimming park. We have the track and field. We have all the places that we've prepared in the Olympic Village where the athletes stayed. What do we do with that now? So this is often a source of criticism. I think that's something we need to look into. And in Brazil, for example, in 2016, a lot of the infrastructure hasn't been used after the Olympic Games. So it was practically wasted. So, it's always a problem. Now, here's some curiosities that I like to point out. Michael Phelps is the biggest, as I said before, Olympian. 23 gold medals and 28 total medals, right? So 23 and 28 total medals, 23 gold medals is absolutely crazy, crazy. Jesus Christ. Look at this, Usain Bolt, 8 gold medals. The United States and Russia and China are typically the leaders in the medal in the rank. So they're typically the leaders, right? United States, Russia, the former Soviet Union, and now China, right, as well, with the very successful Olympic program. Then here we have questions, right? I always add questions to my students so that they can discuss. Usually I discuss with my students. Now, because this is a recorded class, I don't have a student here with me. I'm not going to do that. But if I had a student, we would discuss, the question. So what was the original purpose of the games? Who was responsible for reviving the games? Name 2 legendary athletes, and etc. So we would have a discussion about that. Now here we get to the vocabulary part, right? You remember the vocabulary part is very important. Pinnacle, I told you in the beginning of the class, the highest point, the peak of something, right? Remember the pinnacle of a career, the pinnacle of sports excellence. So here we have a lot of vocabulary. We have the phrasal verb and the American idiom. Every class, I always like to highlight a phrasal verb and an American idiom so that, the students can have a little more contact. Because one of the most interesting points is that students often have a difficult time understanding native speakers, right? They understand each other, right? So if you're not a native speaker, let's say you are from, I don't know, from Russia, and I'm from Brazil, and we speak English with each other, we will understand each other because, we're kind of going to use the same language and stuff. But when you talk to native speakers use phrasal verbs, American idioms. They speak super fast, right? So I like to add to every one of my classes a phrasal verb and an American idiom. So the phrasal verb is gear up, which basically means to prepare for a particular task or challenge. So it is to be prepared, right? To prepare yourself for the task. So I'm gearing up. I'm preparing myself. I'm all geared up. I'm all prepared. I'm all ready, right? So look at this. The athletes are gearing up for the Olympic Games. The athletes are preparing themselves for the Olympic Games. As for the American idiom, we have go for the gold. Go for the gold, which basically means to strive for the highest level of achievement or success. So go for the gold basically means to do the best you can, to do the best possible, to do more than you can, right? You have to go for the gold. Basically means you have to go for the top. So despite facing setbacks, the team remains determined to go for the gold and win the championship. So that is the American expression of the day. In the grammar section, I always like to put some grammar tips or some, additional information or curiosity And I decided to write the name of some of the Olympic sports. So here, a lot of people ask me, "Oh, how do you say this particular sport in in the Olympics?" And so I decided to write here the name for some of the Olympic sports. So you have, the track and field sports. You have the swimming competition. So I decided to write that. Every one of my classes also contains a listening exercise. So the listening is always about the topic. So we talked about the Olympic Games. The listening is about the Olympic Games. So hopefully that will help you, process and understand. And the listening is often from some native speakers, right? So it's a news report, it's some sort of trailer or something about a lecture presentation about the topic. So don't forget to do the listening as well. And the homework proposal is always I write, well, nobody actually listens to me, nobody does the homework, but I have a clear conscience because, I have a clear conscience because I do ask people to do it. If they don't do it, it's shame on them, not on me. So every class I have a homework proposal where I ask the student to do some sort of homework activity for next class. This one, for example, is to research and write a brief biography of one legendary Olympic athlete and then present it to me. So you could write about Michael Phelps, for example. So you could write about the history, a bio of Michael Phelps. So this is it, guys. This is how we work with the material, right? As you can see, there is a lot of information, but I think this is pretty good, right? If you click here on the website, I will in the comment section, I will put all the links, right? The link to this class, the link to my website, and you can find many classes. As you can see here, look, we have classes about everything. So we talked about Olympics, we talk about streaming, machine learning, solar eclipse, free speech, brand, the royal family, digital influencers. See, we have different classes about different topics, and that's the idea. The purpose of our school is to provide a material that is more up to date and that is more relevant to everyday conversations, and that is our goal. Okay, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this class, and if you have questions or leave a comment down the comment section so we can improve these classes and make better classes for you in the future. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a very good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.